Hi. Now, the question came up, how do I study with LingQ? So we're going to do an experiment here. We're going to show you how I work with 3 different devices. All right? First of all, I just happen to have this book handy. I saw it. Foreign Language Education, The Easy Way by Krashen. I am very indebted to Professor Krashen for his insistence on the importance of input. When I study a language, my main objective is to get the language in me through input activities, listening and reading. And once I have a certain level in the language where I understand, I have good comprehension, I have a vocabulary, then I want to start speaking, and I want to start speaking a lot. But initially, when I don't understand well and I can't speak well, I'm far more motivated to work on my comprehension activities. So I'm going to set it up with 3 or 4 languages where I'm at different levels, just to give you an idea of how I work. So let's start with German, because I have started doing German this week, even though I haven't spoken German for the longest time. And the reason is because I have a Skype interview in German on Friday. So in order to refresh myself in that language, I'm doing a lot of listening and reading, which I can do on my iPhone. And here, I don't know if this is visible here, but you'll see that I have a thing called Deutsche Geschichte, written by a person called Mai, which is an audiobook that I found on audible.com. And I went to an ebook site, the name of which escapes me, and I downloaded the ebook. So I listened to the audio on my iPhone, and I can open up this the text here. There's 18 chapters, so let's say if I'm in chapter 13, it takes a little while to come up. But actually, to be honest, I prefer, see here, and the blue words are the words that are new to me, but I'm not going to demonstrate the actual linking activity on this small device, because I want to get to that on the computer. But just to show you that I spend a lot of time doing this right here on my iPhone. So I can listen, I can read, I can look up words, and I have the audio, text-to-speech on my computer. I pick a translation, a dictionary hint, and I do the same here on my iPad. And in fact, and you'll see the different things that I've saved here, Deutschlandfunk, here I have this Geschichte Mai. So I have the same text on my iPad, and they sync. And I just find this a lovely way to study, because I can sit there comfortably. I don't have to be at my computer. I got essentially the same functions as on the computer, and I can go from page to page, going through this thing, saving the words that I want to save, the way we do it LingQ. So that's just to let you know that these are the kinds of tools that you can use for your input activities. If this were a lesson from our library, then I would have the sound to listen to right here. However, since I purchased the audiobook separately from the ebook, in fact, there's no audio here. There's just the text. There is, of course, text-to-speech, but there isn't the audio of the whole thing. And so I listen on my iPhone when I'm in the car, when I'm washing the dishes. So I'm getting it from both sides, both the audio and the text. And that really helps me to improve my comprehension and increase my vocabulary. And now I will demonstrate the same on our website. So here again, now the shows up a little differently on the website, simply because we're in this sort of transition from the classic, what we call the classic view, to the beta view. So let me open the lesson here, and here we have a screen capture. In fact, it is working, is it? I hope.
Yeah, it's
yes.
still.
Oh, okay.
Let the guy say action.
All right. So here we have this Deutsche Geschichte erzählt von Manfred Mai. And now I happen to be already up to here in this thing, so I take because it didn't in fact sync immediately, or there's a bit of a time delay, and we're working on improving that. But what I do is I use the arrow keys. So hymn of praise, Lobes, hymnen. I don't really need that word. I can figure out what that means, so I hit K. K means that I don't need that word, I already know it. Hasstiraden, that's also a hate tirade. Yeah, I don't need that word, I hit a K. So I am reading along here. Außerdem gab es viele Feste und Feiern mit Massenaufmärschen. Mass rallies. Now, Aufmärschen, that's to me a new word. Rallies, I'm assuming that's correct. So I hit the right arrow key, and that saves that word. So that word is now in my database, and that means I can review it in flashcards or however. And now here's a phrase, deren Wirkung man sich nur schwer entziehen konnte. So I click the first word, deren, and I hit shift, and I hit the last word.
Deren Wirkung man sich nur schwer entziehen konnte.
And so I actually now have saved that whole long phrase. And then if I hit the right arrow key, it saves it. And I hear it again. And if there are individual words within that I want, I can click on them, and see, avoid, all right? Sometimes the translation from Google Translate is not good. If I don't know that it's not good, I'm stuck with it. If, on the other hand, I realize that it's not as good as it could be, I sometimes will go in and edit it. So let's have a look again.
Deren Wirkung man sich nur schwer entziehen konnte.
Yeah, whose effect could hardly escape. That's not a very good translation. Whose effect we would have difficulty avoiding. It's good enough. I take it. Because the translation, in my mind, doesn't have to be 100%. It's basically a hint, as we say. And as I see this phrase, now, again, an individual word or a short phrase, I'm likely to see it again. A long phrase like this, I won't see again. Because a sentence is typically unique. But I liked it, and it'll come up in the dictation. And so I'll hear this, and I may have to then try and type it out. Anyway, I continue along. Nutzen. Now, nutzen, it's a word that I already know. I no longer want that highlighted in yellow, so I hit K.
Nutzen.
And then I move along. Und das positiv darzustellen, to represent. I already know what that is. There was a point in my learning where I didn't know that word, and I saved it. But the way I normally move my words to known is when I come across them and I suddenly realize this word is now part of my vocabulary. So, dieses größte Sportereignis, sport event. Sportereignis, yeah, I think I'll keep that word for now.
Sportereignis.
If I see it a second or third time and I'm comfortable that I know it, I can always convert it to known. So, zum ersten Mal in ihrem Land stattfand, took place. Yeah, I know that.
Stattfand.
Und die deutschen Sportler waren erfolgreicher als je zuvor, as never before. So here's a nice little phrase that somebody else has saved. And actually I like that. Als je zuvor, as never before. I'll take that phrase.
Zuvor.
And then ever before. Yeah.
Als je zuvor.
That now is a phrase that is in my database. And that's likely to show up again. So then I hit my arrow key. And that takes me over to the next page. And Bronzemedaillen I know. Würde die deutsche Mannschaft zum ersten Mal in der Geschichte. In der Geschichte. That's worth keeping because one of the difficulties in German is the der, die, das, how these different articles and pronouns change. So I'm going to keep that. All right?
Nationenwertung.
Nations ranking, yeah, that's good. I will take that. But also in der Nationenwertung, there's another phrase that's going to help me.
In der Nationenwertung.
That's going to help me with this der, die, das type situation in German. And I also get a different translation from Google Translate. Nationenwertung now is in nation's valuation. Still good enough as a hint for this phrase. So basically that's all I do. I go through it and I save the words. Now, if I want to review these, then I will go to what is known as the vocabulary section. And there I will see, basically I have to make sure that I show these where are we? Not A to Z, but by creation date. A to Z, of course, is alphabetical. My greatest interest in these, if I'm going to be flashcarding or doing dictation or multiple choice, is to see them, the ones that I've most recently come across. So I could do them in flashcards by clicking here. And typically when I do flashcards, I make sure that everything is on the front. So here I've adjusted the setting in the flashcards to make sure everything is on the front of the card. And I do that because I just want to be exposed to the cards. I don't personally believe that scratching my head to try and remember the meaning is going to do me that much good. I just prefer to flip through them very quickly. Sometimes when I'm doing the flashcards, that's when I change the status. I may even change it to known here. In der Nationenwertung, okay, which I recently saved, and I might make that a 2. Als je zuvor, I see this again. I can also. Okay, so all of this is helping to drive these phrases into my brain. I very often will click on, lost it for a sec here. I will click on show phrases only because I actually prefer doing flashcards just with phrases because I think it does more for me. It's helping me to kind of get familiar with the structure of the language, whereas mostly the words, I am going to learn them if I see them often enough in meaningful contexts. So let's just move along here very quickly. In the case of Korean, it's going to be mostly the same, except I am not as far along, so I will save more words and phrases. And the text-to-speech helps me a lot. I don't think I'll go into detail on that because it'll be very similar to what I do in German. If I go to my Polish, again, it's going to be similar. It's just that I'm not as far along as in German. What I wanted to show you quickly was some of the resources that I use. Audible.com, if you're learning one of the languages that they offer, which is essentially Spanish, German, French, Italian maybe, it's a tremendous resource. And you download it to your computer, and you can also take it right into your iPhone. Publio.pl in Poland is an example of an e-book, audiobook site that I found. Similarly here, this Deutschland Hintergrund is a German podcast that I found. I found them by Googling, all right? And what I do, once I find good resources, I have a thing here on my computer called Language Resources, and I got them for Polish, Ukrainian, Czech, Korean, Portuguese, Spanish, Chinese, German, etc., etc., and I make sure that I put any good websites with resources there so that when I never know when I'm going to go back to a language, then I can find resources. So I think that's perhaps good enough for now, just to get started on it. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you want me to focus more on some aspects of what I do, I would be very happy to do so. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.